I don't understand. You're saying that you didn't know that she was in middle school. You didn't know she was 11 years old, but according to this, you were telling her in advance that you understood she was a child in middle school.
Yeah. Yes, sir. After my lawyer had read that to me, I read it and I instantly saw how that looked. And honestly, I didn't mean that as of saying, yes, I know you're in middle school. I meant that as of like she was acting very immature. And it's one of the signs that I don't know how I missed it, but I did.
I didn't know how old she was excuse. Yes, that's what he gave the detectives, and he still sits here today at his parole hearing trying to convince the parole board that that was the truth. He is a full-on pedo, which makes it even more infuriating when we have to hear that the prosecution says that he only needs to register for 10 years. When we hear that he's already married to someone, even while locked up. And when we hear that he was only sentenced to 5 years in prison, parole eligibility after serving half of it. He was only sentenced in 2023, yet standing here with a chance for freedom halfway through. This is just another infuriating hearing, seeing how weak the prosecution is and how little they care about protecting our children. Now, I'll unpack it with my thoughts at the end.
My name is Angel Capellan. Inmate number is 444177.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration for parole application for Angel Capellan 444177. He is serving a sentence of 20 years execution, suspended after 5 years with 15 years of probation for illegal sexual contact. As of today, records reflect the eligibility date of November 29, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan. Camera that shows the offender has completed the following programs. PSV short track. Utilize a statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you think you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Thank you. I come before you today humbled and with a heart that has changed. I want to start by taking full responsibility for my actions. My actions were wrong, harmful, and inexcusable. I have no excuses. I realize I caused deep pain and trauma to the victim, and to express my deepest to the victim. I am sorry. I know that my actions left life-lasting trauma on your sense of safety, how you trust others, and your well-being. I have carried regret every day for the harm I caused. Through the sex offender treatment program, I have come to understand the seriousness of my past actions and the harm they caused. For a long time, I could not fully recognize the impact of my choices. But this program taught me to take complete responsibility, not only in words, but in how I choose to live every day. I have learned the importance of empathy and of seeing the pain and long-lasting effects. That awareness is something I carry with me, and it motivates me to continue changing and becoming a better man. In the program, I learned practical tools to identify and manage my triggers, challenge unhealthy thought patterns, and replace them with healthy, responsible choices. I cannot erase the past, but I can honor it by never repeating those mistakes. I am committed to living with integrity, compassion, and accountability, and I am ready to prove that I can be a safe and productive member of society. If I am granted parole, I have a safe and supportive place to live, ongoing counseling to continue growing, and employment opportunities that will allow me to continue to contribute positively to society. But beyond all that, what I want most is the chance to prove that I can live responsibly, honor the lessons I learned, and give back to the community. I respect authority. I will abide by the conditions of my parole and probation. I plan on establishing good communication with my parole and probation, and willing to take the steps necessary for a positive change in my life. Responsible and hardworking, and plan on staying away from negative influences. and I will demonstrate good collaboration with authority by showing my commitment to change. During my incarceration, I became a God-fearing man, and I feel that I must include the impact he has made in my life. Through Jesus, I realized I was a sinner, and through him I was saved, and my values and perspective of life has changed in a way that moves me to always do the right thing, no matter how I feel. I now have a deep desire to continue growing spiritually and share my experience with others and bring them to Christ. I value righteous and honest living, family, and believe I can have a positive impact on the community with my testimony. Thank you for your time, and may God bless you all.
Okay, Mr. Capellan, thank you very much for your opening statement. What's going to happen is we're going to take turns asking you questions. And then after that, we'll deliberate and we'll give you our answer, okay?
All right.
May I interrupt?
Sure.
So from my read, Mr. Capellan is in Tier 4 now, and that continues until early February. And I would assume that we would want to see him finish that program. And he also has voices on his OAP. So I think if we reheard him in March with both of those programs completed, we might be in a better position to consider him for discretionary. Just a thought.
Okay. We're going to start the questions today. Sir, you heard my colleague's suggestion, and that's definitely concern of mine too, is that you haven't completed all the programs that we'd like to see you complete, you know? We have a couple questions for you though. My colleague, panel member Sarkov will start.
Good afternoon, Mr. Capellan.
Good afternoon.
You're convicted of a very serious offense. Can you talk about what happened?
Yes. So actually, I had met the girl in a gas station. I was working there. And we had just talked, you know, while I was working and exchanged information. I think we talked for like about a month. And we always talked about meeting each other, her coming over, and things like that. And the first time that I got to see her after the gas station was by her. She told me to come by her house, and I went, and we just met up, you know, by her house, and we were just, you know, hugging and kissing, and you know, then she said she had to go, that her grandma was coming, so you know she left. A little bit after that, you know, we just kept talking, and talking about, you know, meeting and her trying to, you know, come to my house. And so there was a day where she decided to skip school, and where she didn't know how to get to my house. So I had walked over there to where she told me to go, and you know, got her, and then went back, walked to my house. And the first time that she came over, nothing happened. We were just watching a movie, cuddling, and you know, took her home the same way. I don't know how long after. I don't remember how long after that she had came over again. But when she had came over again was the time that we had the sexual interaction, and it wasn't for long. And after that, we just watched the movie, took her home like usual, and from then I just never really heard from her. And you know, I got called by the Danbury police, and they told me they wanted to talk to me, and I willingly went, you know, and they had told me, you know, like if I knew this person. I told them yes, told me, her age, and, we had that conversation with them.
Okay, for the record, you were 19 years old? And she
Yes,
was
sir.
11? She was 11?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you really thought an 11-year-old was 17?
I really did. I wasn't looking right. But it's no excuse. Ignorance is no excuse. If anything, it just makes me more guilty. I wish that I had, seen it. I don't know how I missed it, but I did. And something that I really regret.
You also try to get the victim to have sex with your friends?
Yes, there was a message that I sent out with a picture, while I was at my nephew's house, saying that, if she would like to come over and, do that. And if I remember right, she had agreed and asked for the address, but nothing ever happened.
Do you accept responsibility for that
Yes, sir.
now?
Yes, sir.
Because I saw that in your interview with the parole officer, you mentioned that it was a joke, but in fact, it was not a joke.
Yeah. I just didn't think that she would actually go ahead and do that. So, I said it with intent of like, yeah, sure, but I really didn't think that's where it was gonna go. Like I didn't expect that for that to really happen, even though I did say that.
In your phone, you had a number of images and videos of children performing sex. You admit that too?
Yeah. That is what was told to me by my lawyer. I honestly, the only thing to my knowledge that I had in the WhatsApp, because I guess it was on the WhatsApp, was videos. There was a group chat in there that, which is regularly just have and send videos. And for a while I just didn't look at it, I just didn't use the app. And when the officers had checked my phone, I guess they had found videos in there. I don't, from what I think, that it's a group of people that can send whatever they want. So I honestly, yes, it's something that was definitely there. That is what they found, but I don't know. I couldn't have, it's not something that I willingly put myself into, but yeah, something that was there.
How do you think your offense impacted the victim?
I'm sorry.
How do you think your offense impacted the victim?
I can only imagine, 11 years old, I feel like took the childhood away, took the innocence away. It's only so much I can imagine, like I had said, this is a life-lasting trauma. I can only imagine how can it affect, her relationships in the future, or just how she interacts with people, how she might feel about herself. It's so much damage that and harm that has caused that I can just imagine and never truly understand.
You listed your wife as a sponsor.
Yes, sir.
Does she know everything about your offense?
Yeah. I met her a little bit after that. Her and her family, helped me a lot, and they taught me a lot about God, and she knows everything, and she saw some good in me, and she saw I will say remorse. She saw from her words a gentleman, and yeah, I'm really grateful for her. She's been with me this whole time and has helped me reflect on my decisions and how I can learn from that and never make those mistakes again.
Does your wife have any children?
No.
All right, tell me what you learned from the short track sex offender program.
I'm sorry, can you repeat yourself?
Can you tell us what you learned from the sex offender program in the facility?
Yeah, yes, sir. I learned a lot about cognitive distortions. You know, they talked about the different kind of cognitive distortions, and the one that stuck to me was instant gratification. I believe that, you know, I was just being selfish and looking for, you know, my instant gratification. I also learned ways to avoid and escape situations like that, you know, to not be involved in any of those type of situations. And if, you know, how to avoid and escape them, I learned the effects that it can have on victims. And yes,
You blame the victim for this offense at all?
I'm sorry.
You blame the victim for this offense?
Not at all, not at all. Not at all. I apologize. Not at all. I'm the adult, and it doesn't matter how ignorant I was. It doesn't change the fact of what happened. And I honestly believe ignorance just makes it worse. Makes me more guilty. But I can never blame the victim.
Okay. You made a number of statements that are very concerning in your interview with the parole officer. So I just wanted to point that out, but I think that's all the questions I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I just have one quick thing. Sorry, I read through the arrest warrant application, and during your interview with the police, they were asking you questions and you were answering them. According to this arrest warrant application, this is before they were asking you questions about what your relationship was like with the victim. They refer to the victim as Jane Doe in here. So when you hear me say that, that's who they're talking about. It says
Okay.
Capellan stated that he also told Jane Doe that I don't want you to do all this middle school shit when I want to get freaky. I want to have sex. You didn't know she was 11. Yeah, I don't understand. You're saying that you didn't know that she was in middle school. You didn't know she was 11 years old, but according to this, you were telling her in advance that you understood she was a child in middle school. You know?
Yeah. Yes, sir. After my lawyer had read that to me, I read it and I instantly saw how that looked. And honestly, I didn't mean that as of saying, yes, you know, I know you're in middle school. I meant that as of like, she was acting very immature. And it's one of the signs that I don't know how I missed it, but I did. And I truly didn't mean it as of, yes, I know, you know, you're a child and you're in middle school, but as of, you know, like this is very immature, you know, like I wasn't.
I understand what you're saying now, but it does appear, sir, that you knew that I can't imagine have seen an 11-year-old and think that she was 17, but it does appear by your own statements that you did know that she was in middle school. I mean, you said it came out of your own mouth. It's in these statements. And as far as these images that were on your phone, they do mention some stuff that was found in one section of your phone that had to do with WhatsApp. But there is another portion of your phone where they found things in the media section, videos that were downloaded that were of child material. So I understand what you're saying, but you know, I think you need to come to terms with exactly what happened and just, you know, sometimes it's not easy with the sex offender program. I've seen other people like this too. So maybe the more sex offender programming in the community might help you, you know, figure all this out.
Yes, sir.
But to me, it does appear that you did know that this person was not 17 years old. So that's all I have today, sir. I'm going to see if my colleague has any questions. Panel member Turner.
So, Mr. Capellan, you have 15 years of this sentence hanging over your head when you go out to 15 years of probation. You have a standing criminal protective order against you until the year 2073. And that means you may not contact the victim through third party or social media. So you should be very clear about that. You have 10 years on the sex offender registry. Is your wife aware that her address has to appear on the sex offender registry?
Yes.
Okay. So when you were evaluated by the connection in 2024, before you began treatment there in the facility, they asked you how you know when someone wants to have sex. Do you remember what your answer was to them?
I do not.
You said usually they give you consent.
Yes.
Does that not strike you as a concerning statement? You should not be having sex with someone without consent, not just usually, or in the past they've given consent. So that means I can have sex with you now.
Correct.
So why don't you give me your definition of consent?
To me, it's just when somebody is willing to have sex, when it's not a problem, when they.
How are you going to know they're willing?
I mean, if they are showing the same attraction that I have towards them, towards me, if they, are touching me and act in a way that they want me and that they want this, and usually I do ask, like, is this okay?
Again, usually you ask. You should
Yes.
always ask.
Yes, you're right.
You
Correct.
need to obtain consent, not have it implied because they pressed up against you or because they appear to think you're attractive. That's not licensed for sexual intercourse. It's a negotiation, and sometimes all the precursors of heavy petting and mutual relation happen without intercourse. And you need consent as the activity with the other person progresses, before it progresses. Not usually, but every single time.
You are correct.
So when you completed the program there in the facility, you were asked about risks. And you said risky situations would be when women who may tempt you to be unfaithful in your relationship, which I think is now a marriage, or expose themselves seductively.
Yes.
You have choices.
Of course.
You have to make the decision every day to be faithful to your wife. Regardless of temptations, either you're going to be honest in your marriage vows and faithful to your partner, or you're going to disrespect them and cheat on them with other people. Again, it's about blame. It's about taking responsibility. You told the PO that the victim lied about her age. And now you're here talking about, or at the time you were in the program, women tempting you. You are the driver of your life in making decisions, gathering information, and being responsible for your actions. Are you not?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I have no more questions.
Okay. Alrighty, Mr. Capellan, we're done with the questions. We're going to deliberate. You can listen, sir, and then we're going to come back to you with our answers shortly. Please don't interrupt during this time.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Sarko.
Mr. Capellan is rates as moderate and risk assessment to recidivate. He rates as low and moderate and static 99. Of course, recidivism of to commit another sexual offense. He doesn't really have any criminal history. At the same time, this is a very, very serious offense. We talked about that. As I read this file, I was ready to have him go at the end of sentence. As I read the interview of Officer Williams, he really seemed to at least partly blame the victim. It's a little bit different today. His doing the programs, he's here for in the sex offender program. certainly denial for me, but I'd be willing to talk about actually here.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think there's some programs that he could work on and then come back and be in a better situation. There's no reason to cut him short of tier 4 at this point. Do you think we need to go at least 6 months from now, which I think would be April at the earliest, the way my count is. Turn.
I'm fine with that.
Wait, April? Are you okay with April? So he has a number of programs still left on his OAP. So are we okay with just any positive programs, no disciplinary reports? And then come back in April of
Well, specifically for his benefit, he's in tier 4. He needs to finish that.
okay,
He needs to ask for voices. We're not going to put that in our written decision.
yeah,
But just to,
It's on his-
inform him since he's not, new thoughts could also really benefit him. So there's a lot there that he can engage in.
okay, let's talk about the reasons really quick here. The nature and circumstances, right?
Yep.
And then inadequate program participation.
Yes.
Anything else? I think
No.
that. You okay with all that?
Also, inadequate evidence of undertaking. But
Okay. It's not. I'm not completely against this change at this point. I don't have it.
Yeah.
So we'll put those 3 down.
Yeah.
Okay, in regards to Angel Capellan, inmate number 444177, and make a motion to deny discretionary parole for the following reasons: nature and circumstances of the current offense, inadequate evidence and offender change, inadequate institutional program participation. And further move to rehear this case in April of 2026. The following recommendations: complete the tier 4 program, any other positive programs, and receive no additional disciplinary reports. Do I have a second?
second,
All in favor?
I,
Okay, Mr. Capellan, did you hear all of that?
Yes, sir.
We want you to just do a little bit more work on yourself, okay? Finish this tier 4 program you're in, and then see if you can get yourself into Voices or New Thoughts, any other positive programs, okay?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any kind of jobs you can provide documentation that you have employment on the outside? You can provide that and put that in here too. That might help you. You'll come back in April and do this over again.
Yes, sir. Okay. Do I have
Go
a
ahead.
question? Do you think?
ahead.
For Voices, I've had trouble with getting into Voices during my incarceration.
Yeah.
Throughout it, it's usually either a long list or
Yeah.
when I'm about to get in it, they say Voices are not in my OAP. Recently, today, actually, I had a counselor named Mrs. Slow from my Tier 4 program, and she had messaged, I'm guessing other counselors, to get me into these programs. She has said, Voices is not in my OAP, but you have DV. So I'm just very confused on
I'm
what's
looking at
going
your
on.
OAP dated 7/5/2023. It has school, sex offender treatment, Voices, and a job. So it's on your OAP.
Yeah.
7/5/2023.
So it's not a guarantee, but sometimes when we do a rehear and we say we want more programs for you, sometimes it helps you get into programs. Okay, so hopefully this will help you.
Okay,
All right, good
thank
luck,
you.
sir.
I have one more question. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
So you said if I have any documentation for jobs or anything,
Yeah.
how do I submit that?
You can submit it to the parole officer at the time he does the interview. You can tell him about that then,
All
or
right.
your counselor. Yeah, just if you can get a document that says that someone is offering you a job, it'll help you. Okay.
On letterhead from whatever company is going to hire you.
Yes.
All
Okay.
right.
Work on those
Thank
things.
you.
Okay. Yep. Good luck to you.
Have a good day.
And as long as the state of Connecticut is still going to give me access to these parole hearings, because they are trying to stop me, we will play his next hearing when he comes back in April, and it will be in the return of playlist. Now, let me get some things off my chest about this hearing. There are no news articles, there's no deeper information that I can share from that perspective, but I want to call out what I think is the obvious, what I'm sure most of us saw while watching this parole hearing. And that is that we just witnessed a predator. We just witnessed a predator that is only going to become better trained and better at his craft through this measly slap on the wrist. They call it a 20-year sentence. He only has to serve 5. He had parole eligibility 50% of the way through. He only needs to register for 10 years. Think about that. He is the predator of the worst kind. But at his young age of just 23, he's still figuring things out. But he's earning his stripes. He's going through boot camp. He's going to take his programs and he's going to refine what to say. Keep in mind that he told the interviewer, we didn't see it, but they were referencing it, that it was the victim's fault. It took him just a few months now to be in front of the parole board to then say, of course it wasn't the victim's fault. It was my fault. I didn't know how old she was, but my naivety and me not putting in the homework to find out makes it even worse. He goes on to say, whenever something comes up that he's not comfortable with, my my lawyer told me about that. I remember when my lawyer told me about that. Yeah, I don't know. Even after he is caught in lie after lie after lie, he still sits there with an innocent face and says, I didn't know. I had no idea she was 11. Oh, the content on my phone, what she calls porn, not what we know what it was. I have no idea how it got there. I mean, it's literally like watching, if you watch enough predator catching episodes, like Alex Rosen, they're all the same. I wonder what he had on his Telegram, assuming he had Telegram, right? The only difference is that he's just, becoming more educated. And if you are going to sit here and say, "Oh man, dude, he's just a little kid. He doesn't know. Let's keep this in mind. He is so manipulative. He is so dangerous in that sense that he is already married. He gets married in prison. Someone who is giving him commissary money, someone who is going to bring him into his home, someone who probably has sisters and nieces and nephews, someone who he is going to create a child with. And when that child is the age of his current victim, he will no longer even have to register. And then that child, if you don't want to go so far as to say that that child will be a target, well, she's going to have sleepovers with their friends. And when a parent Googles him to say, is he safe? He's not on the registry. And Connecticut automatically expunges any record older than 10 years off of their database, so it won't even be there. You know where it will be? Here. It will be here. And that's the insane part, right? It is so clear to all of us watching this, at least 99% of it. I don't say anything profound. I'm only sharing what is obvious. I'm only sharing what we are thinking. And that is that he is dangerous. He will always be dangerous. What are they talking about? Consent and there's and loyalty and not cheating on your wife. It's like, well, what are you even integrity? It's like he's a chomo. It's what he likes. He groomed a child. He didn't stop there, but then he needed to fulfill it. And then he wanted to get his friends involved. This could have gone on and on and on. And do you really think this is his first? You really think he was caught his first time? And you don't think this is ingrained in his DNA? You think that because he'll take a program, he all of a sudden will like something else? That's not how it works. But yet those in charge, the judges, the DAs, they want this to go away. They don't see it. They say, oh, he looks like a sweet boy. He didn't know. I always confuse 11-year-olds and 17-year-olds all the time. 10 years on the registry. Because don't worry, it's not like he's married and going to have kids and those kids are going to have friends over from school. He's not going to want to volunteer at their sports events or their swimming club. Look at him. He looks so innocent. But yet we see it time and time again. Who is the compassion for? And then the Connecticut Department of Corrections will say, our rehabilitation, it's so great. They take a sex program, and they learn about consent. They learn about integrity. They learn always to ask the age. At least he's a moderate static 9.9 and not a low. That was shocking. I wonder how that happened. I guess because of the CP content? I don't know. And he still sits here to this day, all these years later. Let's keep in mind, the offense date was 1/14/2022. The date of his sentence was 5/30/2023. He has his parole hearing September 30th, 2025. That is 2 years from the date of sentence. And now he's going to get another bite at the apple. And still going through all of this, he sits here in front of us and he says, I thought the 11-year-old was 17. He sits here in front of us married. He sits here in front of us lying to us with a straight face. And they are going to release this man who's only going to become better at his craft, better at lying, better at being careful so that he can hunt without getting caught. And I just wish that one day the judges and DAs will be held accountable. They need to sit down and watch these parole hearings, to attend these parole hearings, to be the voice for the victim. And Connecticut's trying to shut down this channel. Utah, they stopped publishing parole hearings. Iowa, Vermont, they rewrote their legislation to keep us out of their business because what we were exposing didn't make them look good. Utah stopped as well. I don't know if they rewrote legislation. They just updated the way that they stream hearings. And Connecticut's, I think they're going to try it soon too. But we'll see. But I think the nation's eyes are opening for the first time. People are screaming about what we have been screaming about for so long. Have you seen this tweet by Elon Musk, listen to this father. We need to hold judges and DAs responsible for releasing vicious murderers on innocent victims. Have you seen this case? This is a father who has to plead, why a man who had something like, I don't know, 15, 16 felonies on his record, who came into his daughter's house and shot her, killed her, stole her debit card. Someone who should have been locked up in prison. He leaves a mic drop. I need to properly cover one of these hearings. And then Elon Musk comes out and says, we need to hold them responsible. I mean, this is the megaphone that we have been screaming about. How many times have we said we need a loud enough megaphone to call out the issue? So I hope that, sometimes people's attention span, it's very small. It's very, because they get bored. But I think that we're moving in the right direction. And I hope that one day we can hold these DAs and these judges accountable in the sense that they know that they can't get away with it. They know that every time they give a light sentence in a 10-year registry for a predator, that we're watching. And that they're going to have to adjust the way they handle these cases. And with that, I'll let you go.
Okay, for the record, you were 19 years old. And she
Yes,
was
sir.
11. She was 11.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you really thought an 11-year-old was 17?
I really did. I wasn't looking right. But it's no excuse. Ignorance is no excuse. If anything, it just makes me more guilty. I wish that I had, seen it. I don't know how I missed it, but I did. And something that I really regret.